Hello, children. Nostril Boomer Cappy here. I have a friend. I'm going to tell you a story. Now, friend of mine of the female persuasion, who, 30s, I think? Great gal. Great gal. Just a class act. So she leaves me a text and says, Cappy, I was at a place and I talked to these two gals. And they were both older 40s, not young 40s, like 46, 48. One gal was my age, one a little bit younger. And she just like, I can't get through to them. I can't get through to them. Like they both literally said, they weren't together, separate conversations, coincidentally. And yeah, I'm finally getting ready. I'll start having some kids now. Start to have a family and get serious about that. Which reminded me of the days back when I was younger, as opposed to when I was older, where I had my classes, my retirement financial planning classes, and I'd say introduce yourself, and the number of people, men and women, well, I'm 59 years old, and it's time to start getting serious about retirement planning. And they'd always ask me the question, like, well, what do I got to do? I got 6 years until I retire. And I just say, well, that's not mathematically possible. You're going to work. I could say you're going to work till you're dead, because then there'd be complaints because everyone's so fraggy-vaggy in this country. So I'd say, oh, well, you're a little late to the game, and polite, if you could imagine polite Cappy. And I'd say, yeah, you're going to have to work to about, I do the math, 77, 78. And as I've said before, the reason wasn't because then you'd finally save up enough money. The reason was that by that time you'd have so few years of life expectancy left, you didn't need that much money to retire. And that's unfortunately what a lot of baby boomers is facing, is they're going to have to just keep working, not to save up the money, but to bide their time until what little pittance of money they saved up will carry them for what little pittance of time they have left on this planet. And I enjoy that. I'm not lying. And so this is kind of the same thing, but on a whole new level, because I was speechless. Where I said, these are women my age. I'm like, we had health class. I didn't pay much attention, especially not to the ladies' parts, but I was like, well, then their eggs go away. And I forgot probably what menopause was, but I knew that after a certain age, nature, not the patriarchy, not Donald Trump, not the evil white man. It was nature, God, reality, whatever you want to call it. You just don't have eggs no more. And I wrestle with this. I really wrestle with this because on one hand, I have my female friend who contacted me. She has agency. She takes responsibility. She works hard. She lives in the real world. The GF I have works hard. I have ran into women, obviously, who live at least one of their toes is in the real world. But there seems to be, for every one of them, about 10 or 100 or 1,000 where women they're delusional. It's beyond. I know you all say women never take responsibility, and there's arguments and some evidence for that as a group. And as I always argue, you must judge the individual, not the group. But when you look, especially when you guys are going to go out there and interact and try and have a conversation, I like I said, I'm speechless. Like, you look at it like, lady, it's over. It's done. I like to go for a ride on the Titanic. Like, it's been at the bottom of the sea for over 100 years. What are you talking about? And then if you try and tell them, like, well, the Titanic's at the bottom of the sea, it's not. They don't have cruises no more. Super hypersonic. Oh my God, you hate women and you're a misogynist and da da da. And I just sit there like, how do you deal with people that are literally delusional? How do you deal? And it's not like they're mentally ill, but man, I look at these gals and I'm like, what? And I don't know what else to say. Because right now what I'd like to do what I'd like to do is put together a constructive criticism video that would help women of my age realize that they believe in something that isn't true, and then they could make changes and manage or adjust their expectations and have them align with reality and just have a better life. But it's just this fascinating phenomena where you're talking to someone. The sky is blue, water is wet, the sun is hot, and just no, no, no. And unfortunately, you have to come to the conclusion that these are genuine NPCs. These are true zombies. And we cannot, this is why I don't bother giving, I do in my various videos and consulting and books, I do like what was it? The quandary I was in. I did my course, The Dad You Never Have, available on teachable.com. For those of you without fathers, your father didn't do a good job. And I wanted it to be co-ed because, women also were raised without fathers, really. So I had to give advice to both men and women, some of which is universal for both sexes, some of which is just specific to women. And I'm looking like I'm just wasting my breath. You can't tell women anything constructive if they don't want to hear it. Now, that could also be said for a lot of guys too, but especially watch my video on the perfect mental state. It's like talking to a wall. Like, think about this. Like, if you truly care, let's say you had a little daughter and you really love her, you want what's best for her. I mean, Cappy had a daughter. I would say, look, sweetheart, I don't know. I think maybe I'd name her Alyssa. I don't know what I'd name her. I'd say, Alyssa, sweetheart, you are not majoring in the social sciences or the liberal arts. You will become a tradeswoman. You will become an accountant. You will become an engineer, a programmer, a truck driver, something. But you are not going to go to college for something that's truly stupid, unemployable, and just cripple you financially. And to me, as a guy, that's true love. You tell people you care about the truth. You lie to people either because you want to avoid the pain of a hard conversation. You're a weakling. You're not courageous enough to tell your daughter not to major in English poetry. Or you're trying to scam them out of something. And I just like, that is such a simple concept. But here I am, where, especially with my book called Worthless, which is over 10 years old, that would have tremendously helped out women. Not one woman, I'm sure one woman out of the thousands of people who bought the book, I'm sure it helped out some gals, but nowhere near enough to actually make a significant enough change society-wide, countrywide, culturally wide, to tangibly improve, in this particular case, the employment prospects, the close the wage gap, and financial situation of women. And you just gotta look at it, and you have to throw and give up your hands. And ladies, for whatever it's worth, if you are not receptive to truth and reality coming from people who want to help you out, or just like tell you facts, you gotta expect men, because that's the only other sex out there. I know, I'm general. Don't give me that crap. Don't be surprised when people are apathetic towards you. Don't be surprised when no one dares try to correct you, not out of fear that you're going to yell and scream and call them a patriarch or something like that, or a bigot or whatever, but it's just a waste of their breath. And even though cynical old jaded Cappy here and, F people and I'm a misanthrope, but it's almost to an entertaining level now that once you practicing stoicism and anger management, I have to accept what I do and do not control. I do not control this. And once I accept that and realize that this is the reality, that the vast majority of you girls are not going to listen to facts and reality, now I can move on. I have accurately assessed reality. And in a sad way, it's funny and entertaining to watch gals my age still believe they could get pregnant. It's like watching Disney say, we're going to make another movie about an empowered black minority woman with her magical lesbian wheelchair fighting the evil bitch. He don't need no man. And like watching him like they're going to lose another 100 million, or in case of, what was it? Indiana Jones, like $250 million. And I guess maybe that's where I'm not going to waste my time imploring women to adhere to reality. That is such an absurd, one, it's impossible. Two, it's absurd that you even have to argue reality. Something as documented and factual as menopause, and rather move on to everybody else to prevent yourself from banging your head against the wall, including my female friend, who I don't know is one of the 3% of women in America that are aware that menopause is a thing. And I guess the other lesson to take from it is, especially for you boys, like, look, how pervasive delusion is among women today, I don't know. And on what things, like you look at just what they're delusional about. Menopause. What percentage of women actually don't, what percent of women actually think that that's like some kind of conspiracy of the patriarchy, and it's just a sex, like that's a theory. That's not real. Been lying about it since forever. How many girls, I do have the numbers on, if we were to use that as a proxy. I looked at the number of gals majoring in dumb crap, like declared major National Center for Education Statistics, 9 and 10. 90% of you girls are majoring in just dumb, delusional crap. And the boys aren't all that better either. You guys are like 65%. But I kind of want to use this as an example, like, look, you're not losing your mind, guys. You aren't. And for you gals that are adhering to reality, and like, my girlfriend, it's like, she wants to get pregnant at 47. There's nothing you can really do at that point. They bought the funny farm. You're not talking to a reasoned, insane mind or intellect. You're talking to, I don't know if it's mentally ill, but certainly delusional. You can't, and then the solution is to smile. You go, girl. Yep. Oh, yeah, he's going to like you for your personality. There's another delusion. God, what is that? 98% of women like, hey, you can be fat and men will love you. Oh, okay. And you just try telling them big isn't beautiful. You see where that gets you. But it's kind of like you got to toss up your ass and say, all right, I quit. I'm out. And then you just watch the show. You go grab yourself a folding chair. You go to where the bridge is out. And then you get your folding chair, maybe one with a parasol, protect you from the sun. You get yourself a nice cigar, grab your buddies. Hey, you got your folding chair too? Okay. Break out the cigars, break out the beers, maybe a nice bottle of scotch. And you watch this train fall off the bridge. And don't try to stop it. Don't try, no, oh, the humanity, oh, it's tragic. No, you enjoy the show because this was what's going to happen anyway. This is fated to happen, and it is 100% out of your control. And that train is going to go off that bridge, whether you like it or not. And you can either enjoy it or stand in its way and get hurt along the process. I don't know how that would translate into the real world. I mean, you could probably get fired from your job, ostracized. At minimum, you'll get yelled at for daring to tell women the bridge is out. But if this is going to happen no matter what, if we're getting 48-year-old women saying that they're going to go have kids, I give up. Just give up. Plant yourself a folding chair. Maybe you can even build some, like in parades in the olden days, they built stands. We could have everyone just watch the bridge. Just say, look, hey, here comes the train. Here comes another train. It's going to go off the bridge. Isn't that the 32nd one this week? Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. So there you go. Save your sanity. And ladies, for those of you who maybe want to get off the antidepressants and not be miserable the rest of your life, may I recommend you listen to alternative points of view and research them and practice empiricism. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.